My guest today is a singer, songwriter, dancer, producer, director, and visual artist who makes music you can see and feel. He creates his own audiovisual language to express his unique creative vision. He recently put out his self-produced EP, Saint, for which he also creates and directs all the videos. He's currently on his Dream Reborn world tour, DPR IAN. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Woo. Feeling the love in here today.
Thank you.
Feels
Absolutely.
So
thank you so much, Allison, for having me on the show. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure to me because I love you as an artist.
Oh, thank you.
I think that your journey is so interesting.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'm just a fan of your music and everything you're doing creatively.
Wow.
I think I'm like smiling, kind of laughing because I know your music so well.
Oh, really? Oh.
And for so many of my guests, when they're sitting here and we're talking about the music, you know, their journey is sort of like a natural progression and makes sense, you know? But your journey is so unique, where if you were to put on your latest EP, Saint, which I love, it's like completely different. Genre defying.
Yeah.
It cannot be described.
Interesting, yes.
Because you have so many different interests.
Yes, yes.
But you would not know from listening to that that you are a dancer and that you were in a K-pop group and that you were a drummer and love rock and metal.
Oh my God, you know that too?
Oh, I know the whole thing. So that is what I love about you.
Wow, thank you.
So I really want to dive into your journey, you know?
Well, first of all, thank you so much. That means a lot. That really does mean a lot. Especially someone that kind of knows I've been through quite the journey to get to where I'm at. Definitely means quite a lot. You know, just putting it out there was just like in that list. Even I was like, really? I did all of that?
Well, you've had so many different iterations, you know, but that's just, it speaks volumes about your multifaceted talent and you're a visionary, you know, and that is unique to you.
Right. I think it's always comes from my boundaries of imagination, you know. I don't think I like to keep a limit to that. I think ever since I was a kid, I loved imagining. You know, that was just always one of the core things I did. And you know, growing up in Australia, Sydney, you have plenty of time to do so. You know, because just the environment allows you to just sit there, loaf around, and you know, really look at nature. There's a lot of crazy insects there, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. Have you been?
I love Sydney.
You love Sydney?
I would like to move to Sydney.
Oh my goodness.
I love Sydney so much.
It's beautiful. I mean, the weather's great here too, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. So. I love just the idea that Australia allowed me to kind of delve into that world. And you know, growing up, I kind of moved to a place called Wollongong. Have you ever heard of that place?
I have heard of it.
Yeah, it's like a little cozy beach town, you know. And I think when I was growing up there, I went to a performing arts school. And in that performing arts school, I think that's when I really started delving into, you know, music and art and all of that, you know, because I think essentially back then, when I was growing up, it was more about I wanted to fit in because I was the only Asian in that whole community, and back then the scene of like metal rock music, that was like at its peak.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was so cool.
Yeah,
I loved. I was a big metalhead, and you know, I still remember. I wanted to fit in so bad, and the only way I could really see a close correlation to wanting to be with these people and the scene was through music.
That was the connection.
That was always the connection. And I didn't know it at the time. So I still remember going to my first youth center, like the first, you know, they have these youth center performances every Thursday and Friday. And they would perform for their local bands. Like local bands would come and they would, you know, do their showcase. And I remember just tagging along with my mate and oh boy, was I blown away, you know, quite literally, because the speakers were just
so loud, so loud, so
loud. And I think that's where that passion really started. I think there's like a certain energy and certain wavelength that connects you to something that's like heavy and deep, you know.
It's primal.
It's very primal.
It does.
It's very primal. And that's why, like, ever since then, I would sleep with like heavy metal music in my ears, you know. It would just be my lullaby, you know. So
I can relate. I can relate. I'm wearing my Aussie blazer for you.
I know you're a big rock
fan. You're speaking my language here.
Amazing.
Yeah, there's just something about a live rock show that is unparalleled. And I love all kinds of music.
Yeah.
I love everything.
Yeah.
But a rock show is its own show.
Yeah. I
think it's the rawness of it.
It's the rawness of it. Yes, it's absolutely the rawness. It's the messages that they deliver, you know, because I think more times than not, a lot of people are trying to find themselves in this world. I felt like rock was like one element that kind of spoke in a way where it's like you can express yourself and you don't have to really apologize for it. And you can certainly scream about it, you know.
Yes.
So that's kind of exactly what I did. And I did my own little local band. I started in a band, actually. I started as a drummer. That's where I started drumming.
What was was the band have a name? What was it?
Oh boy. I don't want to.
I'll tell you my band name if you tell me your band name.
All right, I'll go first.
Okay.
My own band was called Fire in May. That was the first name.
Fire in May?
Yeah, Fire in May. Yeah.
That's cool.
Is it?
Mine was called Nearing Nothing.
No,
so
that's
I think
cool.
maybe yours is cooler.
No, Nearing Nothing. Actually, yo, I can see that.
It's pretty bad. I was the front woman. Yes.
Oh, did you name the band?
I did.
I love it. I love it. Nearing Nothing. That's how you know you know.
It's sort of like a dark emo.
I love it. I love
right?
it. I love it.
Thank you.
Do you ever think about rebooting it?
Actually, yes.
Yes.
I actually do. I have thought about that recently.
Really?
Yeah.
I think that'll be a heck of a name to come out with. Nearing Nothing.
Thank you.
That's so cool. Oh my God.
I'm getting such validation from you right now.
No, I love
it.
it. I love it. I love it.
And I love that you're a drummer. So
Yes.
that's what resonated with you.
Yeah, just having to just bang on something, you know. And I think for me, I was like so compelled by just rhythm.
Yeah.
And I think that's what got my love into dancing.
Yes.
Ultimately, right? Because I think I needed to do something more with music, and I wanted to feel it. And I still remember, I think it was you know, when You Got Served came out. I think, do you remember that film?
Of course.
Of
course.
Yeah, when I saw that, that was like a big eye-opening moment for me, and I was like, why are they like rolling on the floor? But it makes sense, you know?
It totally makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised. Now, a lot of people like one or the other. Like they're really into dance or they're really into. So I grew up dancing.
Oh, you grew up.
I was a dancer.
Amazing.
I actually grew up in a lot of like kind of R&B stuff and just stuff you can dance to.
Oh, wow.
And then I found rock later.
Oh,
and I feel like you did sort of the reverse.
Oh, wow.
But I totally get that correlation as a drummer, loving the beat and feeling the beat with your body.
Interesting.
Whether it's drums or dancing.
Yeah. How'd you get into rock? Like, was that like?
I will tell you.
Yeah.
I heard Nirvana's "Smell Like Teen Spirit," and that was it. I wanted to be a dancer. Like that's what I wanted to be. I only listened to like R&B and dance.
Yeah.
And then I heard "Smells Like Teen Spirit," and I was changed.
Absolutely. I bet it was.
That feeling, and that's when it came out.
Yeah.
So I was like a preteen at the time.
Yeah.
So I was that perfect imprinting age.
Oh, perfect.
You know that age you are when you
yeah.
hear it. And it's part of you forever. I heard Nirvana, and that was it.
That does wonders, yeah.
I mean, I still love all music. I still love to dance, but like that's when I was like, I need to learn everything about this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that'll do it. That'll do it.
That will do it.
That will do it.
Yeah.
That'll do it. Wow. That's.
And
really
then,
cool.
so then you fell in love with dancing.
Yeah.
And you had this natural gift.
Man, I'm not sure if it's natural, but
Well, you work hard at it, but you have
yeah.
to feel, you have a natural rhythm for it. Not everyone can decide to be a dancer.
True. You know what I think it is, though? I think it's also because I like, first of all, I like creating something, but I think it's more about how I love the idea of packaging, you know, because, you know, even back then, I think music was a way for me, like, it wouldn't have hit me the way where it hit me if it wasn't packaged like that.
Yeah.
Like if I wasn't thrown into like the cusp of like a hot pit where people are dancing and throwing punches, and then you have loud music and people screaming.
The whole experience.
The experience is what really packaged my love for a lot of things. And you can say the same thing about dance as well. So I think ultimately I got the idea of wanting to package things just so I can transcend it to people, so they can feel it the same way, at least remotely, somewhat the same way that I feel it.
Yeah.
So I think even when I started dancing, it was just the idea of wanting to spread a message through dance. I'm sure it's like that for everyone too, but the love of it, but also wanting to express what you're feeling through the music, and hopefully getting that message across somebody that would get the same feeling, you know?
Yes, it's that connection.
It's that connection.
Yeah.
And it was b-boy, you know, and like breakdancing at that period of time. And I think that's when I started my first YouTube channel. And back then, YouTube wasn't that big. Like it was
like in its nascent stages.
Yeah. And you know, I'll try typing up like breakdancing tutorials, and there wasn't too many, you know. But mind you, I wasn't even a professional, so I was like, I have to make these tutorials.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I was like, but I don't know with what confidence I did that, because I had just learned the move like the day before.
It's incredible. Yeah.
So yeah.
You gotta fake it till you make it.
Yeah,
I
fake
love
it till you
that.
make
Yeah.
it. So I was like, you know what, I'll make it, and I did it, and then I should have named the steps better. I should have got the official names better, because a lot of kids grew up watching my tutorials.
By the way, I've seen some of these.
Oh,
I
no.
did go back and look, and I've seen it. And you know what?
Oh, no.
I actually think you did a great job,
Oh, thank
because
you.
first of all, the videos are long.
Oh yeah, they're
They're very long.
Definitely
A
long.
lot of dance moves
A
in
lot
there.
of dance moves. I had to be very descriptive, and you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, mind you, I didn't know what the names were called, and I just like, I gotta call it what I think it's gonna look like.
Yeah.
But then people grew up thinking that was a name. So yeah, I'm responsible for a couple of names for that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
See, you were a trendsetter even then.
Well, I mean, I don't know, by nature, I guess in a sense.
Well, let's put it this way: you were just making up your own names, and
Yeah.
it caught on, so that
Yeah.
worked.
I hope no one catches this bluff, but yeah. Now you know. So anyway.
Now
yeah.
you know.
Now you
Now
know.
you know.
Yeah. No. So yeah, that was really where it all started compelling and started from. Yeah.
Now, when did you decide to leave Sydney?
So I think it was right around the time I did my first semester of uni.
Okay.
And the reason why I wanted to leave was, well, first of all, I'm Korean by ethnic background, but I've never really been to Korea, and I don't really know too much about my culture. So I just thought, you know, one day I felt like it was like a calling, you know. I kind of felt like everything aligned had I just gone to Korea. So I was like, now's the perfect moment. But my mum was a little bit adamant on me not going, obviously, because it's like, you don't know anything about this country, and even if you are Korean, like, you don't know how to speak Korean. And I was like, yeah, more so for the reason why I wanted to go. By the way, my mum was really supportive, and she made a deal where I was like, I had to make my own money to go, so it took me about a couple of months. I did all types of gigs and side jobs. Trust me.
Like
yeah.
what? I'd like to
not
hear.
shady side jobs, by the way. Just putting it out
I'm
there.
like, please define side job.
Side jobs.
Yeah.
So like, I remember I had to like, you know, like you hand out promos and pamphlets.
Yeah.
So the only thing was I didn't hand out pamphlets. They educate you on products. So, for example, I was educated on. I had to hand out chocolates. The only problem was in the job description they didn't say you had to dress up like a chocolate. So
Okay.
So I was put in a
amazing.
big chocolate costume.
Okay. You were like a chocolate bar?
I was a chocolate bar, and I was walking around the city, handing out chocolates, describing why they should eat this chocolate.
This is unbelievable.
So I did that for a couple of months.
Yeah.
I think the chocolate one was not too bad. The champagne one was where it got me. A champagne bottle.
You were a bottle.
Yeah, at a party, and I'll just pour. Yeah, trust me, you don't want to get there.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so,
but you know what? It's actually a great test of character because you were willing to do whatever
my
it
God.
took
yes.
to follow this innate calling you had.
Oh yes, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And I think that's so cool of your mom that she was like, that's great if you
Yeah.
want to be independent, but you
Yeah.
actually have to be independent in order to
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah, I don't know if she knew I was doing that. I think she would have been adamant on me not doing that as well.
That's okay. It's hard work.
It's hard work.
Yeah.
It's hard work. A good lesson learned, you know.
Yes.
So now I know a little, you know, a thing or two about chocolates, you know, the in and outs.
Important things.
Important
and
things.
very important.
Important things. And because of that, I went to Korea.
Okay,
So
exactly.
I owe it all to that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was the first time when I was like 21. And going to Korea was such a bewildering experience because, well, first of all, it was like the first time I was like, wow, everyone's Korean. Because, you know, I'm from Australia, so I'm more used to multicultural.
Right.
But it was the first time when I went and got off the plane, I was like, man, everyone's Korean. Like, what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
So it was a bit of a shocker, a culture shock to me.
And you didn't speak any Korean at this point.
I knew how to speak like mum, like oma, you know.
Okay, a couple of key words.
Yeah, hungry, you know,
Okay.
배고파, like
important words.
Very important
Did you know
words.
how to say chocolate?
No, I don't. I just said chocolate.
That's ironic.
Yeah, it is pretty. But you know what's funny? In Korea, the term for chocolate is chocolate.
Oh, okay. So that's anticlimactic.
Am I?
You did know it.
Right?
You did.
Okay, just gotta get
Yeah.
confirmation.
Is it chocolate?
Chocolate.
Okay.
Yeah, but chocolate.
Chocolate.
Yes, perfect. Oh,
Real? Oh,
yeah.
God.
You know how to
Thank
speak
you.
Korean.
Thank you.
Yeah, so yeah, it's quite an experience, and getting off of that plane and coming to Korea, I could tell you it was like my world had just been flipped because, you know, in Australia, you're very the environment is somewhat very prone to kind of I guess being very open-minded and being okay with that, you know. So it's a lot of free thinking, a lot of free ideas that are allowed to roam and kind of grow.
Yeah.
But the thing about Korea is, because it's such a more of like a unified nation, it's more of like if you stick out a little bit, you might be a little judged for that, you know, because
Okay.
it's a little bit more challenged, I guess you could say.
I see.
There's a lot of pros and cons to that, but I think for the most part in Korea, that was the first time I got a taste of, man, I'm living in the real wild life now. Like, you know, I have to like really kind of. It's the first time someone rejected like what I wanted to do, and it's a good humbling moment. And I will say those experiences are literally what made me today.
That's
you know?
exactly right.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, how did the K-pop situation come about? Because you were not setting out to be in a K-pop group.
Not at all. Yes.
So tell me how that happened.
So, I think because from heavy metal to K-pop, that's
Right.
it's quite a contrast.
It
you know?
it is.
I can honestly say when I first came to Korea, that's when I first, I guess, got a good whiff of what K-pop is, you know. And in the beginning, I won't lie, it was very fascinating because for me it was like, oh, everyone looked very like a doll, you know, and they were doing these really like choreos that were just so on point, and it was so like stimulating, I guess is the right word. So when I first came, I was like, oh, I'll probably never do that. You know, and then slowly, you know how I said I felt like a calling when I came to Korea.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I kind of wanted to create a movement, you know, and it started off with dancing actually. But I wanted to create like a movement. I wanted to do something. I knew I wanted to do something, but the only problem was I didn't have a audience
Right.
to do that. So I just thought, very simple, like K-pop. Become an idol, you grow your audience, you know, and with that audience you can now go independent and do
Right.
something with that. So the first time I got that offer was when I was walking to the convenience store, and it's street casting, so they
Yes.
cast you on the street.
Wow.
This gentleman in a suit, almost a tuxedo, just came to me and he was like, hey, you know, how old are you? You know, asking all these like.
How old were you at the time?
I was about 21.
Okay.
Yeah, 21, going on 22, and he was like, "How old are you? What do you do? What do you have a job?" So I just thought immediately I'm getting scammed here.
Now, did he see you just from what you looked like, or he saw you dancing?
No, just from what I look like.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
and I can't recall what I looked like, but I don't know. I just thought it was kind of weird, somebody coming up to
Yes.
you. And you know, from that he gave me. Mind you, I didn't know how to speak Korean that well, so he was like, "Oh, this conversation won't last too long. Here, take my card." So
Right.
he took the card, and on the card it was the company that I would later go into, called Yedang. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know at the time, but he was like, "You should come to this spot the next day, tomorrow, at this time." So I just thought, I called my mum and I asked her, does she know what this company is? And apparently back in her time, speaking like she's a dinosaur, no, apparently in her era, that company used to be somewhat of a renowned
Right.
pop company, or you know, pretty big company or something. So she was like, "Yeah, you should so go
Pursue
to
that.
it."
Yeah.
So I was like, you know, what the heck? It's either that or I'll go back to Australia. So I was like, all right, I might as well go. And you know, I rocked up the next day to that place, and I just remember a huge line of about 40 to 50 people just standing in line, and some were rehearsing, some were dancing, and it looked like an audition.
Right.
And I was like, nah, because I just came in my flip flops, and you know, it was summer, so shorts and just Aussie style, you know. And
Yeah.
then, so I was like, nah, this isn't for me, because I just came with nothing prepared. And as I was about to turn back, the guy that kind of casted me was walking towards me.
And he recognized you?
He
He saw
recognized
you?
me, and he's like, "Oh, great, you came. You just wait here, and you know, you'll be up next no time." So I don't know, by nature, by force, by the universe, whatever. I think I'll just kind of stay there, and it was my turn. And I still remember you walk into the room and it's cameras like this set up, and there's like a table and there's like judges. It's quite
That's
quite
intense.
yeah, and the monitors like this too. And it's intimidating. And you go up and they ask your name and they say, tell us about yourself. So I just said it in English, and they were like, "What the heck?" Like, can you speak Korean? I was like, "Oh, not really." So okay, so can you show me the song that you prepared?
And you had not prepared anything.
I was like, I don't have a song. It's like, do you know how to dance? I was like, yes. It's like, okay, show us the dance you prepared. I was like, I don't have a dance prepared. They're like, what the heck? Can you freestyle? And I was like, oh, that's one thing I can do.
Okay.
It's like, okay, so do you have a song then? And I was like, no. And it's like, okay, so we'll use the contestant that went before you and we'll borrow his song. So I didn't know what the song was at the time, but Psy?
Yes.
He does like Gangnam Style and stuff.
Yes,
so it was
of
like,
course.
So it was like one of his songs that kind of emulated that. So, but I didn't know that it was like that. So then they turned the song on, and I was like b-boying to like Psy Gangnam Style, pretty much is what you can imagine.
Right, okay.
I think they found it so hilarious that they wouldn't stop the song. So I was dying, like,
Is there a video of this?
Yes, but I destroyed it.
Okay, I understand. Yeah.
No,
okay.
no, but yeah. So that's how I got in.
And you got it?
I got it
from that?
Out of the 40 people, they saw that. They're like, this guy's funny. So I was like,
amazing.
I don't know how to feel about that, because it's like, I don't know if I got in because of my skill set or whatever, but they just found it hilarious. But I think that's kind of everything aligning, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Wow. And then your life just changed.
Changed completely. Yeah. Oh boy, took a drastic turn.
And then how quickly did your life just change?
So I will say the K-pop experience was that of something that was equally very, I guess you could say, it's very innovative in a way where it kind of helped me grow.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's quite traumatic because it was a moment where I think systematically it put a lot of boundaries on what I thought I wanted to do and what I could do. Because in a sense, you're pretty much a product in that sense. And you'd have to be okay with that to a certain extent. But I wasn't, because I was like a free kangaroo, free believe, like running around, like I wanted to do things, and I just felt like it was now was the time I could finally like break out of my shell, away from like my parents. I could just be rebellious, but now I had to conform to a certain type of order.
Position.
Yes. So I think from that experience, it taught me a few things. It taught me how to be resilient, how to stick through hard times, and how to overcome it.
Yeah.
Without that, I don't think I would have ever learned how to be patient with myself.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was a big moment.
What would you say was like a low point during that time? Is there a specific anecdote you recall?
Oh, yeah. I would say, if I was being completely honest, I would say a lot of the moments were low. Like, there weren't really high moments, because roughly around that time, I think I was trying to get along with the idea of my bipolar. But for me, I think I've always realized bipolar was something that could also be enhanced and be dismissed to a certain extent by its environment, right? So I think the environment that I was put in, just because by nature it wasn't really what I was used to, it shook my world up, and it like absolutely heightened the bipolar state. So I was really manic during the whole period of my K-pop days. But again, the pros was I had a very faster way of rehabilitating my episodes, and had I not been put on the spot to be able to face my episodes in the most extreme manner,
like the highest stakes.
You know what I mean?
You were forced, like you had to.
Yes, like like do a little dance. Like it was just like I had to learn how to put on a face, when the cameras are on, but you just had the worst day, and you still have to smile while making chocolate because the chocolate brings back traumatic memories. But you know,
I totally get that.
But
You
yeah.
were forced to create some sort of coping mechanism.
Oh, yes.
To
Yes.
get through.
Oh yeah.
That
yeah.
moment.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Wow.
And yeah, which looking back now, it's quite thankful. You know, I'm absolutely quite thankful for those moments. However, back then, you know, it was just like
Traumatic.
so you can't process it. You know, so I think one experience was for sure like, you know, like our company was a little bit more adamant in terms of strict. So
Yes.
you know, like it was a bit of a lot of shady things going on, you know, as the industry has. But there was like a moment where, you know, we would get absolutely cut down if, you know, when you go on those live music broadcasting stages and then you have like the red lights coming up.
Yeah.
So every time so they have about like 5 cameras in different angles, kind of like how we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And then the red lights would come on and you would have to look at the camera, where the red lights are coming on.
Right.
So
It was like a cue. It was
yeah,
like,
so,
yeah.
So I'm trying to do it right now. But if you miss that, if you miss your eye contact just for a little bit, you got to be prepared for hell when you go back down stage.
You were reprimanded.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Like, you know, and we were made
Like a child.
like a child. Oh my God, like a child. It was very, it's cruel in a sense, but I get it. Like, you know, they want to be absolutely
Perfect, a certain
yeah.
way. The aesthetic is a certain thing.
Yes.
I get it.
Maybe
yeah.
that's why I'm a perfectionist. No, maybe not. But literally, I think that's what was asked of. So something to the highest order of perfection, which I get. Which I think that's what curated my patience and resilience for a lot of
Yes.
things. But I still remember like those. Every time I see a red light come on, I'm like, my eyes just
a
go.
little bit PTSD.
PTSD.
Yes, I totally get
Yeah,
that.
you know, so-
yeah.
Yeah, it was quite fun. You know, it's quite fun. Trust me.
I'm sure. I mean, so what would you say was the best thing that came out of it?
I got to meet a lot of good people. Yeah, a lot of bad people, but a lot of good people too. And via the experience, it definitely helped curate my understanding of love languages as well with people. You know, I understood all, because again, back prior to that, you know, uni life, I didn't go to uni. Like I went to uni, but I didn't go to the classes.
Right.
I jigged. Sorry, Mum.
You technically were there, but
yeah.
you're not attending.
Yeah, my mom doesn't know about this, but anyway. But now she does. But it's, hey, it's okay now,
It's
all right?
okay. It all worked out.
I hope
it all
so.
worked out. Yeah.
Yes. So it taught me a lot of experiences with knowing how to deal with certain people, knowing what type of people I kind of mesh really well with, and like why you don't really need to mesh with people, and why it's not that important. You know, you can't get along with everyone. So I think one good thing was it definitely helped me understand more about who I was,
Yes.
and that helped me understand my disorders. And further on, I think that's where my love for wanting to, again, I think I was at the lowest low when a lot of things were happening at I think my company, a lot of terrible things, and we disbanded, but I was still held to contract. And you know, they call them slave contracts, where they hold you for about 8-9 years,
Wow.
and you're in debt. You don't make anything. You know, can't even like screech a little. But I'm sure a lot has changed now. But back then they had a lot of those, and you know, I was still under contract, and I think at that time I was like, we were filming one of our videos for our idol shoots, and I remembered I was more fascinated on how they shot it, as opposed to like me being
Like performing.
Yeah, performing.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I've always had a love for packaging things.
Yeah.
What if directing and what if creating visual art is the next step for helping me learning how to package something? So I think that's where my love for directing and visual arts came in. Yeah,
That's amazing. So it ended
Yeah.
up being a silver lining.
It did.
Of this
it
experience.
did exactly.
Because it showed you what you don't want
Yes.
and what you do want.
Yes. What a beautiful way of putting it.
I'm so glad to hear that because it was such a funny, you know what it is? You set out for certain things and you have a calling and you pursue it. It never goes the way you think it's going to.
Exactly.
And it never goes like this.
No.
You know, it's like this, it's down. It's
a lot of tips and turns.
It's just, but isn't it interesting that there's detours and silver linings but it says a lot about you paying attention to those silver linings and those callings.
Right.
And having them speak to you. So now you're pursuing this angle.
Oh, yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely a gut feeling. You know, always trusting my gut.
Yes.
I think I've lost my gut for a bit during that period of time.
That happens.
Yeah.
That happens. When you feel like you're in a pressure cooker and you're feeling like you're constrained, you can't be you, that's when things fall off. Your confidence.
Yeah.
Your ability to trust yourself, your gut, they become like dumbed down, like numb.
You lose your superpower.
That's where you do lose your superpower.
Yeah.
So then from this experience, DPR was born.
Yes, it was.
So tell me about this transition.
Oh boy. So I knew DPR was always going to be a thing. I just didn't know what it was going to be called yet. And you know, leading up to those moments, I met so many people that kind of helped curate this vision, you know. One of the first being somebody called Tarbin, you know, who was actually a avid follower of my b-boy days.
Oh, wow.
Can you believe that?
Oh,
so
it's extra special.
It's very special, very special. And he would always used to send me messages on YouTube back in the day, because you could directly message, like, hey, this is my progress of my b-boy, like learning from your tutorials. And I was like, oh God, not those tutorials. Oh boy.
I love those tutorials. I've seen them. They're awesome. They're awesome.
Oh boy. And then magically we both ended up in Korea. And I think that was when the journey really began. And that interval where I had to go to the K-pop era and he had to go to the army, we had a little bit of a distant interval, and then we met back up. And I still remember I was at my lowest and I was like ready to give up. I was like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm just being force fed like so much negative, you know, like nuances and all. For me, that whole experience at that time felt like everything was trying to channel me to being something that's not.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like that shouldn't be allowed to do something. So I was more focused on like breaking. Yeah. Like, you know, I think I dwell in chaos and I loved chaos, but it was just another extreme measure of like, granted it was probably because I was manic, but I was so like ready to just kind of blow the lid off and just be like, hey, you know what? If that's what everyone wants me to become, I might as well just conform to it, you know? And I think it was that moment in time where Tarbin, that friend, was like reminding me, hey, like, you know, didn't we set out to do this in the beginning? Like, let's go back to it.
That's beautiful.
And I was like, you know what, screw it, you know, like, I guess it wouldn't hurt to give it one last shot. So that's when I started making video content. You know, it started off, I didn't know anything about video content. Mind you, there's such a systematic follow-up on like doing like a process to doing things. When you do something, like for example, like you have to do 5 years of coffee making to now be able to be a runner, and then maybe be able to touch lights and learn cameras. So there's such a system that I didn't have someone to really idolize in terms of like what do independent filmmakers do then? Like how do they get big? And because there was no blueprint for that in Korea, I was like, might as well do that, because I wanted to represent so many artists were coming out. There were so many people that wanted to become artists, but there were a lack of people that wanted to do the creative vision and direction and you know, behind the scenes for it, because there wasn't a platform with that kind of enabled that light onto it. Because everyone thought if you wanted to become a director in Korea, you'd have to do 10 years of this, 10 years of that. And then by then,
the hierarchy.
Yeah, you'll be like 40 and, you know, you'd have your belly out and something like that. Like, it'd just be like, that would be the highest image of it.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, you know, what if we can define the norm a little bit? What if DPR can be a house of representatives for that independent idea of thinking? Because, mind you, I told you at the start, that was kind of almost not really heard of in Korea. The idea that if you wanted to do something, you don't have to follow a due process. You could just do it. You could just wing it, you know, and then it could be something due to its, I guess, elevation, like due to its, I think, genuine, core, you know.
Yes.
And thing is, DPR was something that I wanted it to be so genuine in terms of artistry, like being yourself, but I wanted it to also be something that could represent somebody that wanted to be themselves, but was like kind of on the edge of like, do I have to apologize? Do I have to explain myself? Art is art, you know. There's like a saying where, you know, artists are meant to defy our reality. You're meant to conform to your own reality and kind of not so much to as impose, but to kind of show what your idea of reality is and have people be on board with that, because I'm sure in some type of approximation it's going to closely relate to some people. Yeah.
There's a recurring theme here with you, hearing your story, that you have always been unapologetically you.
Yes.
Whether that was putting together the dance videos, you know, and you didn't even know if that was really, you were making up the names and moving to Korea just because you had this calling, and you showing up to the audition with like nothing prepared, but just staying, but staying and going through with it, going through the Sea Clown experience, even though it was like so foreign to you, just to try it. And then you kept the resilience, and then knowing that you had this calling, you know what, I'm going to create my own path, you know, and that.
Interesting.
You've always created your own path.
That's interesting.
Every step of the way has been something that's unique to you.
It's interesting
and it's
that
just,
you put
but
it
that's,
that way.
and your art and your music and your visual art all reflect that.
Wow. Yeah, that means a lot.
I mean, and you can see it even in your music now, like as DPR IAN.
Yeah.
The music is it shows so many influences. Like certain songs, like Ballroom Extravaganza or Nerves, it's like, okay, this is rock. Like, this is cool, this is rock, this is alternative.
Oh, that's so cool,
And then like other songs have jazz elements to it. I hear a lot of jazz in your music.
Yes, jazz, actually, when I went from metal, I went from alternative, punk, and then metal, and then went to grime metal, and then I went to jazz. So then I started, went from like banging with the double kick, and then it went to like swings, and I love jazz drumming so much. And I think it's so interesting that you point that out, because that was, I think, one big part of my life that I didn't really revisit, but I didn't know how much of an impact that part actually was. So thank you for bringing that up.
I'd say you have revisited it, because I hear it in your music.
Oh, you do?
A lot of jazz.
Right. I didn't even realize that until you said it.
Because what's so beautiful about jazz, again, there's no path.
There's no path.
There's no path. There's no blueprint.
No.
It's based on feeling.
It's feeling, exactly.
And that's how I would describe your music. Do you know what I'm saying? Like when I hear your music, no two songs are the same.
Yeah.
You know, and you hear your EP Saint, that's different from your, you know what I mean? Like everything is different. Everything, and even like, within the song, there are several sonic stamps, like within one song.
Wow.
You know? So I hear all of these influences and textures
so cool.
in your music. It would be hard to describe it to someone.
Oh, wow.
You know?
Well, that's so cool. I love it. I love that you know that attentiveness, that detail.
Well, I could feel it. I feel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like I listen to music, but I feel it.
You feel it.
It becomes part of me.
Interesting.
I feel it.
Wow.
And then when you add to it your visuals, I mean your videos. They're unbelievable.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I think I always say like the sonical aspect and the visual aspect comes hand in hand for me, because that's what really comes from my imagination.
Yeah.
I think I was for me, the first time I think I was astounded by something visually so stimulating. I think it was when I first watched Cats.
Yes, the musical.
Oh boy, that came into town like.
First of all, there's a lot of like, I see like a Broadway influence. There's a lot of theatrics, a lot of theatrics for sure.
You're right. It's so interesting that you're right. You're absolutely right. I think the musical aspect was a huge thing when I was growing up. You know, I'll be very fortunate enough to go to these things. And what's really cool is my parents wouldn't tell me what I was going to. So I would have no idea. I'll be rocking up to people dressed up in Cats costumes. I still remember like one. It was the first time I saw cats, and you know, pre-show the cats walk around and
Yes,
they, you know,
yes.
they kind of interact with people. The cat came and like it was like this feminine cat that just laid down on my
Like your lap?
in my
Yeah,
lap,
yeah.
and then, you know, it was like stretching like a cat,
Aw.
and it felt so surreal because I knew it was a person, but
Yeah.
I've never seen a person become a different character, and I think that's what sparked my imagination. That mixed with the theater aspect,
Yeah.
the musical, you know, the notes to it, and you know, they had all these other musicals that came after that. Like I remember there was like a clown musical. I forgot what the name was, but you know, they had orchestra playing while like a clown was like being blown away in by a huge fan, and just that overtly stimulating scene was something that I wanted to capture and just not let go of. I just want to I just want to live in that moment.
Yes.
I don't know why.
Goes back to that experience.
Yes.
Because when
yes.
you go to a Broadway musical, it's you're watching the theatrics and you see the orchestra.
Yes,
You literally,
yes.
so you hear the orchestra, but then you
Yeah.
see the conductor
Yeah.
wildly.
Yeah,
you know?
something about that. You know, just something about that. It's-
Also, guess what? My first Broadway show was Cats.
Oh, are you
It
serious?
was. It was. It was. I'm from New York.
Oh
I'm from
my
New York, so
God.
Broadway was a big part of my upbringing,
Oh my
and Cats
God.
was my first show.
Wow, we have a lot more in common. Wow,
I mean,
that's
how
like-
amazing is
I was gonna say,
that?
how was it for you when you first saw that?
I was blown away. I
my
was really
goodness.
young. I think it was when Cats like first came, out, like
yeah.
probably like in the 80s. And
Oh, wow.
I was a little girl, but like you said, the Cats, we knew they were people,
Yeah.
but they were so committed
So
to their
committed.
character that they transformed.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought that was the coolest thing.
That's so
and the
cool.
music was awesome.
Wow.
And I just remember seeing the orchestra and the conductor, and I thought that was the coolest
Wow,
thing ever.
that's so awesome. I love that.
So like you, I've always seen audio and visual together, and then
Together.
I'm also the MTV generation.
Right,
So
oh.
seeing music videos,
Yeah.
and that was how we were introduced to songs.
Right, right.
Was just
So
mind blowing.
Wow.
You know, like I was like a baby when it came out, so like,
Yeah.
that's all I knew was MTV.
Well,
Like,
yeah.
It wasn't like listening for the radio.
Right,
Like,
right.
I watched MTV.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Wow.
So music video, I was always just fascinated by it.
Interesting. Do you also imagine like a scene first, or is it more of the sonic that comes first for you, or is it more the visual that comes first?
The sonic comes for me first.
Okay, got it.
I'm definitely more music centric.
Music-centric, wow.
But as soon as I can hear even the opening measure of a song,
Yeah.
I'm transported.
Wow.
I'm transported. I can see.
You can see
I
it.
can see
Wow.
a visual component. I can like smell it. I can
Wow.
like taste it.
Wow.
You know. But it starts with the music for me.
Amazing. And you also get goosebumps.
I
when you-
do. It's and
Beautiful.
it goes inside me. It's like
Wow.
when I listen to
Next
music,
level.
I'm like processing music.
Wow.
You know.
That's the best way to enjoy it.
I'm also like, there used to be a game show even before my time called like Name That Tune. Like, it's like,
Name
I
That
can name that song in 3 notes. I have that ability where I
Really?
could like hear a song.
Wow.
And I'm
That's
like,
crazy.
I can name the song in like the
Straight
year
away.
it came out.
Wow. So you have
Music for me is
wow.
like,
it's one with you.
it is me.
Wow.
Like it's
That's-
part of me.
Okay. Wow. Now I understand you
Yes.
even a bit better now. Wow.
That's why your music and everything you're doing really resonates with
I
me.
see. Wow. That's so cool.
And I love watching your videos. It's just like, there's
Oh.
so much.
I
Like,
appreciate that. Wow.
so,
Means a lot.
okay, so let's talk about Don't Go Insane.
Okay.
Because one, it's my favorite. It's like one of my favorite songs.
Oh wow. Yeah.
But on that song is where I hear your Daft Punk influence.
Oh yes.
I know you love Daft Punk, and I
love
totally
Daft
get
Punk,
that
yeah.
and respect that.
Yeah.
And like,
love
first of all, it has like 36 million views.
yeah.
In the video. It's like no
Yeah.
big deal.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
you're, I mean, it's
No.
you know, it's really cool. Like when you think about that, because I know that you're a true artist and you care about your artistry,
Yeah.
but you have insane numbers. You know,
Yeah.
you really do.
Oh, yeah.
How important is that to you?
You know, I never really thought about that because I think for the most period of time when I was making it, I always feel like it has to do, like it does what it should do. you
Yeah.
know? So, and that really doesn't extend too much on the numbers, I think, because for me, I feel like what I give is very bottomless. Like it's just the pit is endless. So.
Yeah.
I could just constantly keep on making, and it's like just a repertoire that I have. So I've never really felt the need for it to ever reach a certain number, maybe a certain crowd, because I think it's just more. I always say, I would rather have 10 people show up and have 10 people all stay, than 100 people and just have 10 people out of
Like
that
a
stay.
superficial engagement.
Yes.
It's quality over
It's
quantity.
always. And, you know, and I think because I think that's just so innately in me, I think I've always loved the idea of, like, there's no limit to what I do and what I give to people. And it doesn't feel like I'm really giving, and it just feels like I'm just exploring my world. Yeah, expressing, exploring my world, and just putting it out there. And it is absolutely, I think, a humbling moment too when I see, also such a grateful moment, obviously, when I have people like, it's not just one, right? It's just it's like that amount of people like watching my stuff, supporting it, and honestly, that's who I do it for. At the end of the day, it's funny because in the beginning I did this for myself. I did this because I needed something to say. I had something to say. I needed to break out of my chamber. I needed to exert so much of that energy that I was compelling down and suppressing. And then once I had that all out, I didn't know like what it was doing to the people.
Right.
And it was the first time when after the show, I would walk back to my to the bus, and you know, on that little short journey to the bus and from the stage, you would have fans just running up to you and telling you how much your music and how much your artistry has changed their lives for the better. I think moments like that are moments that I live for, because I think in those moments is when I realize, oh wow, this isn't just about me anymore. Right? This is about everyone else too. So it really is something that's eye-opening, and it's what I realized as I further go into my journey of my artistry. It's like, wow, this is this is not just about my journey, it's everyone else's. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because you start from a place of authenticity, because it's almost like you need it.
Yes.
You know, like whether it's, you know, battling with mental illness in your journey, to dealing with angst from something happened to you, or trauma, and you're very fortunate that you have these talents where you can use them as medicine.
Right.
And then other people hear it and it resonates with them and what they're going through, and what a gift that is.
Yes, it is.
To not only have the talents, but then to have the ability to connect and inspire others who might not have the talents.
Right.
But they have the music.
Yeah.
You know, and they have the experience. The experience.
Yes.
You know, so I mean, that's the greatest.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Oh my goodness. I've always said, like you said, I think it's the experience that really entails everything for me. I've always resonated more with the person in the crowd rather than the person on the stage. You know, and whenever time I watch a show, I always look at the show and I always feel like I'm the person in the crowd looking up at the show and enjoying it.
The kid in the mosh pit. It's
good
like
way to
you
put
in
it.
the mosh pit.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
where it all started.
That's where it all started, you know.
Yeah.
And they have some crazy ass names for the dancers in the mosh. You know, they have dancers in the mosh pits.
What are some of the dances?
So there's like you know, you might think everyone's just flailing around like aimlessly.
Limbs, yeah.
Yeah, no, but they all have names for that, you know. The one's called the arm swing.
Oh, yeah, I know that. I've done it.
And
I've done all these moves. I didn't know if they had names.
Oh, yeah, they had names. There's something called the two-step. Trust me, I'm not going to do it here.
Wait, what is the two-step? I think you might need to show me what this is. Like,
oh, my God. This is... So, no, it's a little thing they do in the hardcore metal scene. It's called the two-step, and it's usually to like a hardcore beat, which is and then to that they have like a dance move to it. It's called the two. But trust me, you don't want to see it. You don't.
Now, what I do know is the Wall of Death.
The Wall of Death.
The Wall of Death is classic. I mean, I worked with Lamb of God.
Oh, amazing.
I'm actually in the Redneck video. I love Lamb of God. I love Lamb. I A&R'd the Sacrament album. I had like a metal pedigree.
Let's go.
And going to Lamb of God shows, you know, at the Wall of Death, it's like Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? It's like a separation, and it's like the two. But it looks like very aggressive, but really it's like a love fest.
It's such a love fest. You know,
it is.
You know, it's a good thing we brought that up, because they say the most heartfelt and heartwarming people are the people in the mosh. The minute you fall over, everyone stops.
Picking you up.
Just picks you up, you know.
Picking you up.
Picks you up.
Supporting a good crowd surf is another favorite of mine.
Yeah,
you know?
I've never actually done. Have you done?
Of course.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Who are you talking to?
I'm
here?
sorry.
I am
sorry.
like,
You're the veteran.
I'm very committed in my shows.
Yeah,
Yes.
the veteran. Yeah, I got to learn from you.
I mean, are you really going to a show if you're not crowd surfing? I mean, I don't know.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, stage diving, crowd surfing, you got to.
Yeah, that's the one thing I couldn't do because I'm like, oh, no one's gonna pick me up. no one's gonna throw me.
You know, you and I will go together, and I will
Yeah.
make sure you're supported.
Oh my
I
God.
got you.
All right.
I got you so
Hey,
much.
I'll hold you to that. Thank you so much.
Wait, I do want to ask you, going back to choreography for a
Yeah.
second. So, like for example, in the Don't Go Insane video, it's like you had like a total Daft Punk vibe, but then the choreography reminds me of like Michael Jackson. Thriller,
Yes,
and it's like,
yes.
who does the choreography?
So we have a very talented young man called Hugh, right? And he's like somebody that actually was somebody that helped me out in one of the music videos for Mitre 2, and he did the dance for another choreographer, and they did something called Ribbon together. And I think from that performance, and when I saw this guy, he had so much passion and so much fire and so much potential. Like it felt like as if it was me back in the days when I had a lot to say, you know. So, you know, immediately we just kind of kicked it off, and this guy was so adamant on trying to help and wanting to show us what he can do, and you know, our chemistry was just, you know, it took off, you know. And ever since then, he's been really, really helping us a lot with everything, you know, not even just the choreo, like the direction, the stage direction, just the characterization.
He shares the vision.
And, you know, the fact that I can do that, not with just him, but with so many people on our team right now, is what makes DPR DPR.
Oh, that's so special.
It's the most special thing. Trust me, it really is.
What a gift.
It is.
What about new music? You're working on new stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. So I have a project that I'm going to come out. Speaking of, like, I'm going back to my old roots, going back to rock and indie and metal. Well, I'm not
really.
I don't know about the metal stuff, but yes. So I have a character that personifies my music and my genre for like an era, you know. So Mito, being the first 2 albums, is what classifies his era of that period of music, which is orchestra, like jazz and a bit of pop. And then Insanity, where we have a little bit of electro, dance, funk, and you know, from the Daft Punk influence.
Of course.
And then it's going to go into the Ian album now. That's right.
I'm doing a slow clap because I'm so excited to hear this.
Let's
this
go.
is awesome. All right,
Thank you,
Ian.
Yes, thank you. Yes. Where we finally get to see Ian now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just hearing yourself say that, don't you feel so proud of how far you've come?
I do.
That you're
really
actually using your name?
Yeah, I do. I actually do. I didn't realize how much of a big moment that was, but you're right. It kind of felt like everything was building up to this moment. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So that's a huge indication of how you're feeling right now.
You're right. Yes.
Tell me about that, because you've been so vocal about your journey with mental health and your, and your disorders. And so, how are you now? How are you feeling?
You know, I think I'm the most happiest I've ever been. I'll be honest.
Wow.
Yeah, and it took me a long time and a long way to come to get to this point for me to say that. And I think it feels like almost everything was leading up for me to come to this realization. And I think because I am in this moment and in this mood, I've also learned to understand how to be more present and savor the moment. Because back then it was really all about going, and you know, even if I had something to say, there was some type of spite that was hidden behind everything, some type of anger and frustration. More importantly, I think with myself, you know, and I just didn't know how to clear that, to be honest, because I felt like there's a lot of things wrong with me, but everything that I was trying to advocate for myself, I just felt like I wasn't even living it. So how was I ever going to be able to Like it felt more hypocritical, you know. But I never really understood where the answer could come from. Like I didn't know how simple it was. I always thought it was more impossible than possible when it came to me. So I've always had to clearly indicate that this was more than me and not about me. And you know, like I think because of that, I went through something so spiritual where it was like do I have to just be treat myself as a messenger? Not so, and nothing is personal, you know, and because the reason the minute I make it personal, that's when a lot of the fury, the spite, and anger,
that's the ego.
That's the ego speaking. And the minute I cleared that, and the minute I started to accept that, it felt like giving felt so much more easier, you know, and because you don't need anything back, because what's the whole idea of giving is like you don't really ask for something back. And it felt like such a clarifying moment for me that I don't know, for some reason it was just more uplifting, you know. And ever since that I just started seeing my team and the people around me, and you know, it kind of brought me to a whole new art light and a senses of like who they were and why they were here and why I was here and why we were here together. And yeah, it was a very empowering moment, I could say. And because of that, I can honestly say I'm the happiest I've ever been.
I'm sitting here beaming maniacally because I'm nodding, because it's a form of enlightenment.
It is.
It's like checking your ego.
Yes.
And freeing yourself of that, because the ego is really what causes so much pressure you put on yourself, comparison, jealousy, self-doubt, right?
Self-doubt.
So when you just focus on being present in the moment and being grateful for that moment and knowing that nothing's guaranteed, the clarity comes in, and connections happen more. And you look who's around you, and you feel that beautiful, fundamental human-to-human contact, which is really the most gratifying thing in the world. Are just human exchanges. Right?
Like, just like what we're having.
Right.
You know,
like I'm having chills. I'm having the best time with you right now. Like
likewise,
I'm literally just soaking you in. I think you're a wonderful delight.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm just so happy for you.
Thank you so much.
Because I know that it's been a journey. You know, and to see where you are right now.
It means a lot. This is the first time I actually said this out anywhere, actually.
Oh wow.
So, you know, like you bring the best out in people. You really do.
God.
So thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh my God. You're amazing. I could literally talk to you for an entire day.
Thank you.
Okay. Name a song, album, or artist that changed your life.
I think definitely Daft Punk's albums, because that was the first album I listened to, Discovery. That was the first album I got my hands on. You know, my dad bought it for me one day, and he was like, "Hey, this is music," and I was like, "Okay," you know. And that first time, because you know back then we had like stereo speakers and
this is like, well, they came out like in 01. So you were like young.
Very young, like primary school. You know, it's a little elementary kid. The first song, you know, one more time. It's that repetition. I don't know why, but the progression of that just kind of, I couldn't step away from it. And then my grandparents would just like be like knocking their heads off, because I'll just be repeating that.
They're like, enough.
Like, just stop. Like, one more time. Like, I'm like, one more time.
It's an undeniable song. It's an instant anthem. I love Daft Punk, and Homework, which came out in 1997, is like Around the World and Defunk. Like, I did that with those songs, and then followed up with One More Time. I mean,
it was something, you know.
I know. All hail Daft Punk to this day. And they're
agree.
Constantly evolving and just putting out cool stuff, teaming with Nile Rodgers and Pharrell Williams. It never ends.
It never, innovators.
Total innovators. And so are you. So that makes sense.
Well, I appreciate that.
What is something your fans might be surprised to learn about you?
I wear my socks like halfway. Okay, fine.
The response from the crowd.
Maybe that wasn't a good one.
No, I think that's interesting. I think that's great. Can you show us? Can we see what you're talking about?
I can't do it right now because the socks are too deep in there.
Oh, okay.
But then, you know, there's ankle socks?
Yes.
But I don't wear it, so I just wear it halfway. So, like, you know what I mean? So the the ankle part of your foot
Is exposed?
is exposed, and then you have your socks halfway there.
Wait, so you don't roll it past your heel? That is strange.
That's so I put it.
Doesn't
up.
that feel weird? Doesn't it bunch up under your foot?
I don't know why no one ever fixed that habit for me when I was a kid. They just let me do
Is
it.
that like a superstitious kind of thing?
I
Like
don't know. Hey, I feel more comfortable like that for some reason.
having your heel exposed.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm gonna try that.
I hope it's not a weird fetish or something, is it? It's just. Oh boy. I'm just
Dying
no.
from this.
Oh.
Obviously, we're gonna have to see this at some point.
Oh, yeah,
but that's
yeah.
a good one. That is a good one. Okay.
Yeah. Oh boy. Oh no.
If you could meet any celebrity, dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh boy. Oh my goodness. I mean, honestly, I would love to meet. Oh goodness. Like Moby was somebody that I would love to meet. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, Moby, because he was also one of my biggest music inspirations for growing up. You know.
Maybe you guys could collaborate.
Yo, that would be crazy.
Should we put that? Let me ask you about that, because like everything you do in DP is so autonomous.
Yes.
You know, like that's what's so incredible. I mean, that's what's so amazing.
Yeah.
Would you like to collaborate? Like, would you
yes.
want to collaborate with Moby? Like, that's so cool.
Yes, absolutely.
Or Daft Punk?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Let's put it out there right now. Let's put it out there. Okay.
No, absolutely. The thing about the collaboration thing is, I've always wanted to do that, and I felt like because there's such a time and a place for I think when I wanted to do it. I've always been fascinated with obviously genre blending, and I think it was just more of the idea of like, oh, we would never imagine you to be collaborating with someone like that. And I think it was just building worlds. So something where it could kind of channel something that's quite interesting and intriguing. I've always been very open to it. And I've always loved the idea of wanting to collaborate also with also big names, but also people that are just starting off, you know, that have yet to be discovered. And I've always wanted to build something with people like that, you know. And
that's amazing.
So that's still going to be something that's on my to-do list. And
that's beautiful. You're generous. You're generous with your art, and you like to. That's beautiful.
Yeah. I think that's
maybe it's me and Nearing Nothing.
Yes.
Maybe we're bringing our bands back together. You did mention rock as your next generation,
yes.
so maybe this is
you
my
know
comeback.
That's not such a bad idea.
I'm not kidding. I'm actually being serious.
Yes.
Okay.
No, likewise. All right.
And we're in LA, so I'm just just letting you know.
Perfect.
Planting the seed.
Perfect.
Planting the seed. See. Okay.
We'll do it.
What is a fear or insecurity you would like to get over?
I think it comes back to not everything has to not everything has to go a certain way, and it's okay if it doesn't go a certain way. I think I have the hardest time sometimes when in my mind I have everything planned out, you know, and it's a schedule that only I know, right? It's like it's the chaos that only I can draw order from, and I've always felt some sort of like anxiety every time something like that goes disarray, you know, and I think that fear of the chaos that I have in order might become a little ajarred is always what struck fear in me. And I kind of think about it, and I think, is it because I don't know what I'm so scared of? Like, I don't know if it's me trying to be too much of a perfectionist to that side, or I don't know really where it comes from, but I guess that also entails letting go.
Yes.
You know, letting go of things. Yeah.
Letting go.
That's
the
always
secret.
the
it's
hardest.
the secret.
Yeah.
And if you're able to do it, that's where you win.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Kind of goes back into what we were talking about before about being present and grateful for the moment, even though it wasn't the moment you planned for.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes, I think that's exactly
but
what you were
you're good
saying.
at that. You're great at finding silver linings. You've done it your whole life.
Yeah. It's interesting that you put it like that.
I'm almost surprised to hear you say that, because I feel like your whole life you've been really good about rolling with the punches.
Right.
And creating opportunities out of them.
Interesting. I never really thought of it like that. That's quite interesting.
Like, I see you. I see you.
I like that.
I also want to know, you have such a beautiful sense of style.
Oh,
aesthetic.
Yes.
Physique. Let's keep it real. What is your fashion muse?
Oh boy. So I do like for me, it's always, for some reason, I don't know why, I have like such a dark aesthetic, but you know, I've always had a bit of like that darkness in me, you know, like, so I've always liked more of like the dark tone, you know, thing. And a lot of people think like I get a lot of influences from The Crow.
The Crow, yes, I totally
and
see that.
I loved it. And it's another thing where I think it's because I was so attracted to that dark aesthetic as a kid, you know, like Tim Burton's Batman,
Of course,
you know,
the best.
yeah, like all of those things, like Beetlejuice, like all of those things, growing up watching those things, I think attained to my fashion sense and my fashion style. And we have an amazing stylist, which is not here in this room right now, but he supports that idea, you know. So the whole character of Mido was born from that, you know, and it really does come from that sense of like something dark, but something very beautiful about that dark chaos. Yeah.
Also, The Crow and Batman have the most amazing soundtracks affiliated with them. So it kind of goes back to that full
that full
360
experience.
Because
Wow.
The Crow soundtrack is one of the greatest soundtracks of all time.
Yeah, wow, you're really good at catching that. It's so good.
Yeah, but it's true.
You're so right. Yeah.
It's like, if you think about that, literally, if you don't know the Crow soundtrack,
Oh my
you need
God,
to,
please.
you have homework. You have homework.
Please. Wow.
But like also like your ink, you know,
Yes.
like this is gorgeous.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tattoos is another thing that I think I mean, my mom has a field trip with me tattooing myself. I think at this point she's like, I kind of think she might not recognize if I got another one because I got too many, but she always recognized. She's like, you got another one? I'm like, Mom, doesn't it not make a difference anymore?
Well, I feel like I was gonna say, I feel like you're, but you know what it is? All tattoos are beautiful because it's a form of expression. I love when people express themselves.
Yes.
However, your tattoos are objectively really beautiful.
Oh, really?
You know, and I like can you talk to me about your neck?
Yeah, so this one's the butterfly. Actually, this one was a promo for something that I think is yet to come out. So this is a little teaser thing. Yeah, this is
okay.
Yeah, this is the first time we're actually announcing it here, but this is something that was, our fans love a bit of they're a bit of a theorist, so we love lore building, and we have like a bit of like a story of ourselves, our universe, and I love to drop in a lot of hints and a lot of clues via tattoos like this, and via just like little, you know those messages that you put up. Yeah, so I love putting up little like hints and things for fans to follow along, and this is one of them. Yeah.
Wow.
So we'll be yet to reveal it. Can't reveal it yet, but
soon.
But very soon. Yes.
I cannot thank you enough. Thank you for spending the time.
Thank you,
and sharing so much.
It's been very therapeutic. Thank you so much.
Really?
Yes.
Thank you so much. The greatest compliment I can receive. Thank you.
No, thank you. No, you're lovely. You're absolutely lovely to talk to me.
Oh my God.
Yes, thank you.
Likewise.
Thank you so much.
We'll be right back.
Thank you.